Hey guys, welcome back to My Anime Heroes Customs. A lot of you guys have requested for this build to happen for a very long time. Now here we are, it's Naruto Six Tails QB mode. Please know that I'm doing my best to finish all commissions and requested builds, so let's have fun. Hope you guys enjoyed this one as I have. It'll be the 105th commission project. Join my Patreon if you want to see more builds and customs in the future. Names of patrons will be included at the end of every video as a thank you for their support on this channel. Check out link in description box below if you want to support my work. I thank you in advance. Cheers! Let's do this! Let's start with our materials. I'm using a Revoltech Carnage for the main body and I'm using this Triceratops skeleton toy. When I received this project from my client, I immediately thought of the Revoltech Carnage to use as a base. Then I thought of using these dinosaur collectibles, these skeletal frames to use for the Six Tails form of the body, also because my client wanted this to be removable. So think about it. The Revoltech has great articulation. It gives you maximum usage of joints, so that you can pose the body in any which way you like. So just like this, I'm posing him in a crouching mode, which he can definitely pull off very easily. So imagine once you put on the bones on top, it's workable, right? So definitely I think we can pull this off. I really like accepting challenge builds like these because it lets me think outside of the box and it pushes me to be very creative. So let's do this. I've disassembled the body parts of the Revoltech Carnage to see what I'm working with. I'm not gonna do a lot of modification on the body per se because it already looks really good. The details look really well sculpted. I will just paint the whole body in this Bosny Signal Red to give it a deeper red. One definite modification that I should do is the reshaping or resculpting of the head sculpt of the Six Tail QB. The Carnage head kind of works already, but I wanted to be a little bit more anime accurate. So I will be reshaping the head sculpt with the parts that came with the Revoltech Carnage. If you have been following me for a little while, you guys know that I like reshaping hair or other things with the use of the parts that came with the body. So I'm picking one of the antenna-like tendrils of the Carnage, and I'll use that to make ears for the Six Tails QB head. So I've drilled some holes at the back side of the head and added these tendrils. I don't think that I can make it into a movable ear because I think it's a little bit too much posability or articulation. So maybe I'll just make it permanent and see how we can adjust it once we put on the skeleton of the head sculpt. While the head sculpt and the body is drying, I will start making the Six Tails. So I plan to do this by using a wire and this red fabric. First thing to do is to cut 6 strips of red fabric with wire inside. Something like this. Then we shall add a wire inside of each tail or each strip so that we can adjust posability or the posing of the tail, since these will be permanent, but I will be definitely adding a Lego ball joint so that we can add posability and articulation for the 6 tails. So that it's easier for the figure to hold the weight of the tails, I'm going to be grouping this into like a single tail, 2 tails, and 3 tails, so that once we combine it all together into 3, it's going to be 6, but also so that we can do 4 tail Naruto form. Here is the result of the painted body. It's much more red right now, but I will add some black and maroon to the paint of my airbrush so that it becomes a little bit more deeper red, and so that the details of the body will be shown through the paint. I'm just forming the tails on where I want them to go, so they will be attaching onto the hips of the Carnage. Just like this, I'm just mocking it up on where I want them to go, and I'll fix this to the ball joint and show you once I've done everything. This is the progress of the resculpted and reshaped QB face from the Carnage head sculpt. So I've put the jaw a little bit closer to the mouth, and I've shaved everything else, and I've added hot glue for the ears to maintain the consistency of the texture of the skin. I've also added a black layer of paint. It's like an oval shape in front of the face so that we could put in the eyes and the color of the mouth, which are white, which is a very iconic look for the QB mode of Naruto. A little fast forward on the work that I've done on the tails. After shaping the final form or the posability of how I want the tails to look like, I added hot glue on top of the clothing, and I've added the ball joints on the back end so that we will stick it onto the waist later. So look like this. It kind of looks like Ken Kaneki's Kagune. That is the look that I'm achieving right here. This is what we have so far. The tails can now be attached to the waist via ball joint. And now I think it's time to do our work for the skeleton of the Six Tails form. So this Triceratops I picked specifically because of the head shape. It looks very close to the peg of the Six Tails Naruto look. We definitely need to do a lot of reshaping and adding holes or removing the horns. And the good thing about this Triceratops skeleton head is it has an open mouth, which I can fit the head sculpt later, but making sure that it needs to be easily removable and playable. Also, this ribcage spine looks really good. I want it to go at the back of the Carnage with the legs. It's removable also, so I might use these attachment points to put onto the body just like these. I might add holes like this because it really looks good already. So, and just to make the work a little bit easier, we'll just follow through the design of the Triceratops skeleton frame. And for the back legs of the skeleton, I will be using these shorter skeleton frames, which is perfect because in some anime depictions, the back legs of the skeleton frame looks much shorter than the front ones. So this is perfect, and I'll adjust it accordingly to the body. I added this little extra step to go further for this figure. I cut off the in-betweens of each floating rib so that we can see through the bones of the spine. As you can see here, it has a plastic in between them, so I've cut them off. I've sanded each and every rib, and yeah. And now I think this is the biggest work that needs to be done for this figure. It's the skeleton head sculpt, which I would like to fit with this QB head that we did. So we need 3 holes on top of the head, remove that horns, and open the mouth of this Triceratops head sculpt. First, I shaved everything off. I removed the horns, I removed the lower mouth so that I have a clean surface on what I want to achieve and how I can mock up everything. I think I need to shorten the front mouthpiece of the nose and have drill big holes for the ears to come out of the skeleton head sculpt.
I could just die any minute, going for a ride down the side, PCH, country limit. I don't need a guide, follow lights, take me where I wanna visit. Are you alive, or just breathing? Flashing red lights, driving at night, windowless ride, feeling alive. Nothing in sight, forever in flight. Follow those lines, we'll make it this time. Blurry street lights, work as a guide to memories that we're making tonight. Oh yeah, we'll make it tonight, yeah.